Hey, Mrs. Mouse here. So I'm going to be going over lesson 5.2 with you. So before I get started, if you could go ahead and set yourself up with the tutorial on one side and your My Forms folder on the other, and then we'll get started in just a moment. All right, so you should be set up and ready to go. What we're going to be looking at today is we're going to be looking at the responses from a Google form. And there are different ways that you can review responses when somebody fills out a survey of yours, okay? So we'll be taking a couple of screenshots. One, we'll be taking a screenshot of some charts of our responses, and we'll be taking a screenshot of a spreadsheet, all right? So our file upload is a JPEG. So in my Forms folder, I'm going to go ahead and open up my survey that I created for a banquet menu. So go ahead and open that up. Now, currently there is one response because I've already filled this out, but you can kind of get an idea of what it is that we are going to be looking at and taking a screenshot of here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I want you to do the same thing. You should make sure that your accepting responses is on. And then we're going to look at the live view, the preview version of this survey. So go ahead and click on the preview button. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and fill out this menu a number of times so that we have good content that we can use to evaluate and look at the different charts and at the spreadsheet. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fill this out really quickly. It doesn't really matter because obviously we're not going to be doing a real banquet. So I'm just going to fill each of these out and then click submit. Submit. Okay, now I'm going to submit another response. So I'm going to do this a total of 5 times. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this tutorial. You do the same and submit 5 different forms, 5 different responses with varied answers. So they shouldn't all be the same. All right, so you should have now submitted 5 responses to your same banquet menu survey that you created. So let's go back to, toggle back to our tab with the actual form on it. And you can see now I have 5 responses. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the chart version. And we're not going to take a picture of every chart, but we can kind of see that we have the information here that shows us what the color coding means. If I hover over it, then you can see that it highlights on the pie chart what section I am looking at. So the mashed potatoes, when I hover over it, now the 40% has a green outline to it, so I know where I'm looking. I can also hover over it in this fashion. Okay, if I need to put this chart into an external document to maybe share with my banquet team, I can go ahead and copy it here and then paste it into a document or a slide or something like that. So there are a few options when looking at our different charts of responses. So before we continue on, I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot all the way up at the top here. I'm going to take a screenshot of my form survey, just the top half. We don't need to have the whole thing. I'm going to do it from the top corner over here down to the bottom corner over here. And I'm going to make sure that I name this with my first and last name, lesson 5.2 charts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay. So I'll figure out the name later. But I am going to name it something like this. I probably have to use underscores instead of colons. Totally fine. Not a big deal. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you is how to view your responses in a spreadsheet. So if you look in the top corner here of our number of responses, we can see that there is a spreadsheet. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Now, if I want to just have this have its own individual spreadsheet, I'm going to click on create a new spreadsheet and then the word create. If I have, say, for example, a number of different banquets all with the same menu that are all in the same week, I can have one spreadsheet that has all of those responses on it and just creates different tabs down at the bottom. By selecting an existing spreadsheet. So say the one that I just filled out was for Tuesday, but I already have one for Monday. So I can click select an existing spreadsheet, find that Monday spreadsheet, and then just have one for the week. But right now we're just going to create a new spreadsheet. So I'm going to go ahead and click create. And then it's going to open it up for us here. And we have our different responses, and I can do the same thing I've done with other spreadsheets in previous units. I can select all, and I can make it so that the information is vertically aligned in the center and that we have our text wrap so I can see everything. Anything else that I want to do, like if I want to have borders on it, I can do that right here. If I want to make it color coded, I can do all of that. So all of the things that I've learned in previous units, depending on what I need the information for, I can do with my spreadsheet of responses. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this as well. So just from here to here, we don't need the whole thing. It's not that big of a deal. It's just making sure that we got that done. And then I'm going to rename it with my lesson 5.2 spreadsheet. And then that's kind of it. The only other thing that I wanted to look at, if you go back to your original form, what I didn't show is that you can also, depending on what you need the information for, you can review it by question. Okay. You can review it by individual. So if you're selecting people's names, then you can see how they answered individually for the survey that you have given them. So we have different options. The summary is usually the one that's used the most, but like for a test, I may use the question section to see which one has maybe more students had trouble with answering correctly, and that's what I would talk about in class. And then if it's individual, maybe I want to work with specific students. So it really just depends on what your purpose of the survey is. Again, summary is the one that is used the most. So now that you've finished this, make sure you upload your 2 pictures to your 5.2, and we'll continue on next time.